We will now welcome our next speaker, Bryan Owens. Bryan Owens is a native Memphian. He became interested in recovery courts following his journey of sobriety through judicial intervention. He is active in the recovery community and volunteers religiously throughout the county. While obtaining his master's, a professor brought up the topic of integrated care. It inspired him to treat the whole person and earn respect for the effectiveness of treating behavioral and healthcare in synchrony. It inspired Bryan to enter the nursing profession to offer a holistic approach to treat a vulnerable population, those incarcerated at 201 Poplar. He is married to the love of his life, Taylor Owens, and they are raising their 18-year-old son, Joseph Owens. Please welcome Bryan.
Thank you. God, that was a good commercial. That was a great commercial. It was nice to see all my friends on there and to see them doing what they do. And well, this bar, hang on a sec. And it was just nice to see them doing what they do and what everybody can do in recovery, more importantly. Like just what a gift that is. And I'm trying to get my screen share, y'all, as I talk. And boom, we got that. So I always get this question about what is drug court? Like, what is drug court? What is drug court? Drug court. So drug court is a program for nonviolent drug offenders who are currently incarcerated. So they come into drug court and they get a chance to get their charges expunged. Like they don't have to have a felony on the record. As we know, felonies and having a criminal charge on your back will actually stop you from getting a better job, actually stops you from getting housing because you have to do a background check. So there's a lot of things that go along in our network where if people have a criminal past, it messes them up for a lifetime. And we have some reform going on, but currently we need more reform. So drug court is a program for nonviolent drug offenders to come in and actually do drug treatment instead of facing jail times and get their charges expunged. Who's eligible for drug court? So anybody with an open criminal case is eligible. So that can come from any jurisdiction. So we take people from Bartlett Court, we take people from Collierville Court, we take people from Millington Court. We don't typically take anybody from out of state, like out of county, like Tipton County, or from Nashville. But we have in the past, there have been special places where we've taken our chances, where we've actually taken those kind of people. So anybody with an open case is eligible for the program. Just some really quick stats. I'm a stats guy. I like some stats. So our drug of choice within our program, you can see it's going to be pretty high right around there with the opiates and the heroin. I think these numbers are a little bit skewed because we allow people to identify their drug of choice as they see it. And a lot of people, as we know, a lot of people say like my drug of choice is marijuana, but in reality, they're using fentanyl or heroin or opiates every day. So right now, heroin makes up 31%, but then that doesn't count opioids. So it's really, I would say it's actually higher. It's probably actually around 60%, but our numbers identify about 40% right now. So we have, out of our population, as we know, there's been a huge increase of overdoses over the community right now. We've partnered up with the Memphis Police and Shelby County Police for anybody that overdoses on fentanyl, because that's currently what's going on right now, can actually get into the program. The problem that we're encountering right now is actually the first time you overdose and you don't have a criminal charge and it's the first time, then people don't get a chance to ask for help. It's something that's happening with the state level. I really don't understand that. I'm not a lawyer, but we're encountering some issues with that. And then we got the overdose effect. So our numbers have increased because people are getting flagged from the overdose. So we've taken about half the people that have come in for overdoses, and we're actually allowed them to get into the program, which is going pretty good. We're still having a high termination rate on that number. We're thinking because we don't have what's called a serious enough charge, where people have like, they can be like, well, hell, I can do like 10 days in jail instead of doing, 18 months of treatment. So our buy-in factor for people to do treatment is kind of not really there. The one thing I like about drug court is it's innovative. It's a very innovative court. So judge lets us, if we come up with some ideas and we have some statistics on it, we can implement it. It's just an amazing place. As proof that they're innovative, they hired this guy. So that's me. I was arrested over 13 years ago. Somebody turned CI on me and had me sell morphine and heroin to undercover. And that was my last criminal charge. I had other charges besides that, but that was this. So whenever I came in, drug court did not have anybody in recovery working for them. It was unheard of at that time. And they took me in and they allowed me, they actually sought me out to work for them. At the time, I didn't even have a degree yet. I was going for my associates. And so they just hired me I didn't even have an associate's degree yet. And they really just took a chance. But it's funny because they knew the potential that was there with the CPRS, with the Certified Peer Recovery Specialist. They knew the potential that could have that on the clients. And, and it was a great thing. So at the time when they hired me, the peer recovery specialist didn't even exist at that time. And what would happen is I was going to college for my associates still, and I would have clients in the program that were in college at the same time. That's crazy, right? So I would walk out of my class and I'd go over there and visit them and talk to them. And it was just an amazing time in my life and in their life. And what we started finding out is like the more interaction I had with them outside of the court program, the better they did within themselves. And they had a higher efficacy rate. And it was just, they were just doing extremely well with this population. I was a counselor over people that were in residential treatment, and the numbers were just doing phenomenal at that time. So some of the things that I implemented was I believe in the 12 steps. I'm a 12-step guy, and I believe in the 12 steps. And one of the biggest things that I thought about the 12 steps was helping other people, being of service. So what we started to do was we started to do this thing. It's like, hey, we'd ask people and say, hey, like, come out and bring some bread and bring some lunch meat and let's make sandwiches. And we'll go out into the community and feed the homeless. And we would do that. We'd go under bridges and find people. A good hot spot is over there at the KFC downtown at Danny Thomas. We'd go out on Front Street. Another hot spot is over off of Sycamore View. We'd go over there and feed people there. We'd go into the campment and bring them food and everything. And this is the funniest thing that happened. It's not funny. So the clients were funding this, like they were buying food to make for everybody. And they were using their food stamps sometimes and buying this bread and lunch meat. And people were coming up. And the next thing you know, the next day after we did these events, they were walking up to the other clients and saying, you missed it. You missed this event. You missed it. We fed these people and they loved it. They just thrived about it. And they'd be like, Bryan, when are we going to do that again? When are we going to do that again? And I thought how crazy it was that we were doing this unconventional thing of going out and feeding people, and like how much they got out of it and being of service and helping other people. And it was very inspiring. And they made me continue to keep on doing that. And we'd do these events time and time again. And again, we'd go under these shady spaces and we'd recruit people and we would just feed them, and we'd never force them into treatment. But every once in a while we'd have somebody ask for treatment, and guess who knew where to get people into treatment? Our people knew how to get people into treatment. And it was just a great time. And again, we just go out into the community, and we do this for years and years. COVID kind of put a stop to this, where we weren't able to do this. We didn't feel like it was safe for our people. And it was an amazing time. not only did we do that, not only did we go out and feed people, we actually started doing community events where we go out to neighborhoods and clean up the neighborhood. We would walk out there and pick up trash. And here's one event where we're going, and the client actually digged up a vodka bottle right there. You see, that's Blue Top. And he was just so proud of getting that Blue Top bottle. We were digging up trash out of gutters and everything else. And we had to have police supervise us. And they just thought it was the greatest thing, hanging out with the cops. It was just so surreal. Like, I couldn't believe this was happening, right? Like these people were asking and begging to go out and do these events. And I thought, what else could we do? Like, what other thing could we do? And one of the things that I started doing was, I loved college so much, and I enjoyed going to visit my clients in the middle of classes and like during breaks and everything. We would schedule meetings and we'd go together. And one of the things that I started doing was actually I start helping people sign up for college. So I have this thing called Meeting 101. And what I do in there, and I walk up to the guys and I was like, you've got 18 months with me. If you could do something in 18 months, what would it be? What would it be? What would it be? Or I'd ask them, I was like, what would you want to do for a degree? And here recently, I had a guy said, he goes, I want your job. This is no lie. About a month and a half ago, I said, he goes, I want your job. And I was like, man, you can have it. I was like, come for it, come for my job. I want you to take my job. And he's never signed up for Southwest. So we signed up for Southwest together, and I signed him up for Southwest. And he goes, what do I do now? And I was like, hey, you get your high school transcripts and you get them sent there. And he got his high school transcripts sent to Southwest. And he goes, what do I do now? And I was like, now we're going to fill up for FAFSA. So we filled out for FAFSA together. Got him sign up for the Pell Grant. He goes, what do I do now? He goes, I said, now what you do is you go find your advisor and you pick out classes. And he picked out classes. And he's like, what do I do now, Bryan? And so I picked him up the other day, and he goes, Bryan, like, I can't believe it. I'm going to be the first person in my family to go to college. Like, I'm going to be the first person in my family to go to college. And he's damn and near in tears, crying. And he's like, I can't believe it. I can't believe this is really happening. So why do I push people to go to college? Why? Because they're still in treatment. They're early in treatment at that. Like, why would I do that? So what I found out was, whenever I sent people, I did treatment with people, the problem is like we were able to do classes in groups for like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And the other part of the time, I sent them back home, and I sent them back to the same neighborhood, around the same people, doing the same thing. And they had to survive there. So I needed to do something different. And not everybody bonded with the 12-step fellowship like I did. So I send people to college because for reasons for the 12-step, the same reasons why we send them to 12 steps. Like, I send them there because they knew people, places, and things. So I send them to college, and now all of a sudden they're around a whole new group of participants, right? So I send them there, and they meet a whole new group of people that are wanting to move forward in their life. So they're around positive people. The next thing starts happening is they start doing it, and they get a little bit of hopeful. They're like, I don't know about this, but I feel hopeful. I feel like I can do this. And all of a sudden they get inspired, right? They're like, whenever I get done, like, this is hard right now, but when I get done, I'm going to get a job. So I inspire them. So now all of a sudden, instead of being hopeless, they get a little bit of hopefulness with them. And then next thing you know, they might have been dating some ratchet person or whatever. Now what they look for in a mate changes. What they look for a mate and changes. So now all of a sudden, I'm changing all these dynamics in their life, right? All at once. Things that I couldn't reach in the 2-3 hours that's going on, I've been able to manifest and change directly from them going to college. and they start holding their head up high. They start having some self-esteem, and they start looking hopeful to the future. So I wondered how else could I impact this? So I was at this national conference in DC for drug court professionals, and the lady from the state, the head state, came up, and she was like, Bryan, like, I got an idea for you. I got an idea for you, Bryan. She was like, I want you to meet this guy. And this guy was with Phoenix, and with Phoenix Exercise, and it was up in Michigan. They had started a CrossFit class up there for the clients. And he was telling me about it. And I was like, that sounds very interesting. And we walked off to the side, and I was talking to Marie, and she was like, Marie's like, Bryan, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to get this going. And I said, Marie, I said, this will never work, Marie. I said, this will never work. I've tried to get my guys to exercise. I tried to do this. It will never work. And I came home from Memphis, and the next thing you know, this guy calls me up, and he's like, hey, I own this CrossFit gym. I want to help you. Literally 2 days later. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, is this really happening? So we did CrossFit. And what happened was I had two guys that continued to use. Like, it didn't matter what was happening to them. They kept on getting high, and I kept on having issues with them. And the owner of this CrossFit gym is actually in recovery too. He's got over 11 years in recovery. And what we do know is there's a huge correlation between fitness and drug cessation. Like, there's statistical information on that. And he was like, Bryan, let me have at your guys. So I like fitness too. So I actually became part of it. And we had these guys come. And this guy right here, Chad and Nick. Nick's a firefighter. And while on duty, he actually got hurt and got addicted to opioids. And he lost his job from all of that. And it was an overdose. Chad was an overdose too. And these two guys right here, if y'all can see my pointer, I don't think, let me get my red dot. So Chad's right here. Look how big he is. He's so proud. And then this is Nick right here. And he they wouldn't stop using. They wouldn't stop using. Well, I got them into this CrossFit, and guess what happened? They stopped using for the silliest reason. They said, Bryan, if I use, I won't be ready for CrossFit the next day. I mean, isn't it crazy? Like, I'm not going to use because I won't be ready for CrossFit the next day. And we would go to CrossFit, and we would challenge each other and push each other. And everybody was getting into it. We would just fight and like push and like who could do better. And the cool thing about CrossFit is it's not just about exercise. We would actually talk about stimulating the vagus nerve, how to slow down the heart. In other words, whenever you're like wanting to fight or flight, when you're wanting to run, what can you do to slow that down? And then the other things, we just do all these different things about talking about breathing techniques. One day, the owner had this nutritionist come out and talk to us, Katie right here, and she talked to our guys about actually how to eat and the proper way to eat and all the food and nutrition. And she was just super great to our people. And here she is teaching a class. Oh, this is another lady teaching another fitness class. And you know what's happened from all this? These guys are still clean. These guys that, here's Nick right here. These guys that kept on using no matter what, all of a sudden got clean. Why? Because they didn't want to be horrible at CrossFit the next day. I just thought that was so amazing. The next thing we started implementing was yoga. So whenever I hear yoga, I think white women and like all this stuff, like all these prejudices and judgments come out to me. So we were doing yoga, and look at this beautiful, I just want to point out this beautiful, handsome man right here. Look how limber he is. So we started doing yoga, and the yoga is the same way. We do these meditations and like ways to focus for the day. And all these things are free. The clients don't pay us a cent. And I started bringing my clients to it, and everybody just loved it. It was astounding. And it was a way to actually start talking. And we started using the breathing treatments in group and everything. And she was just able to reach people a way that I was never able to reach them. And it was a great program. And so other than that, here's my last little bit is I got a shameless plug. So this Sunday, so you've never heard of the Shelby County Drug Court. And the problem is nobody else has either, right? So this Sunday, we're gonna have our 7th annual Race for Recovery. It's called Dope Busters. Come out and be there. If you come out, I know a lot of us are treatment providers, come out and meet Judge Dwyer. We're gonna have Judge Dwyer there and other members of the team. And it's the race is called Dope Busters. It's obviously Ghostbusters themed. And we're encouraging people to be dressed up. Come out on race day. If you said, hey, I haven't registered yet, come on out on race day. So race day registration opens up at 9 a.m. We're going to be in Overton Park. So we're going to be on the East Parkway side of Overton Park. And where that is where Sam Cooper dead ends in the East Parkway, right? So a lot of people know the colorful bicycle arch. So we're right there on that side on East Parkway. And the entrance is right there off East Parkway. Come on out. If you want to promote your organization, come on out, throw your stuff. We got a goodie bag. Throw your stuff in our goodie bags. We're gonna have MAPC out there as coming out with us too, and there will be Narcan training. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have fun, music. Come on out. It's gonna be a great time. And with that, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or call me, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And I didn't know if anybody has any questions now. I'm free for the questions. And that's it.
Hi, Bryan. Can you see me?
Let me close all my... I can see you now. Hey, Olivia.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Good. I just want to go ahead and say thank you for coming out and speaking to us. We really appreciate it. You taking time out of your busy work schedule and coming to talk with us. We really appreciate it. Is it okay if we ask you a couple questions?
Yes, please.
Perfect. So I see a question in the chat. Somebody wants to know, do you think we should incorporate more like working out and workout into treatment centers?
Yes. So there's, and this isn't like personal reasoning, even though like I have anecdotal information on all that, there's actually statistical information on drug cessation and exercise and fitness. Now, just so you know, whenever I say fitness, we're talking about more like running. So things that spur the norepinephrine response in the brain, those neurochemicals. And the other thing is very heavy lifting as well. So that releases dopamine. So we're talking about 2 different neurochemicals, and the way fitness incorporates, you're going to release either one depending on which one you're doing. I say yes, do it.
That's great. Somebody else is asking, they said, seems as though trust is important during treatment. Would you say that doing the types of activities that you listed is helping to build that trust with your clients?
Most definitely. So the cool thing is it gets us out of the treatment center for me for court. So I get into a different environment, and I'm not so authoritarian to say, so scary. And all of a sudden, like they see me sweating and dying at the same time they're dying. So it breaks down those walls, and you build a bond. So it's a great movement, great thing. Another thing is if you have play basketball, the guys. They can't think and do all this stuff at the same time, and it messes up the neural pathways. So it's a great way to just help people.
Somebody's asking about how long does it take to go through this program?
12 to 18 months. So it depends on your charge. So misdemeanors are usually going to be 12, but if you're an opiate user, we're going to keep you for 18 months. You're going to get drug tested a minimum of twice weekly. On top of that, you're going to be doing very intensive IOP, residential. You might do residential, you might do IOP. We offer housing. So we offer a halfway house. We offer assistance with medical as well. It's a lot of different things we offer that's kind of hard to wrap your brain around.
Great, thank you for answering that. Somebody wants to know, are there any other jail diversion programs that are offered in Shelby County?
Yes. So there's mental health court that's done by Judge Skane. Obviously, drug court, my favorite, which is by Judge Dwyer. There's veterans court that's done by Judge Anderson. And then there's a little lesser known program called the Jericho Project, I believe what it is. And it's for people with severe mental illness. And then also there's other programs too. There's also federal drug courts as well.
We have another question. So what can, I'm sorry, what'd you say? What can we do to get people with criminal backgrounds and to get them employed?
Oh, okay. Well, we have a guy that actually does all that with us. His sole job is to, what he does is it's very grassroots. His name's Renwick. He's amazing at it. And what he does, he's grassroots. He goes to businesses and just talks to them. And he knows the owners. It's very grassroots kind of thing. And he gets a list and he gets a job. He's employed 70% of our population. Like, it's amazing. He's really great at it. And there's a lot of friendly, felon-friendly diversion program or companies out there. Amazon actually will hire you.
So somebody wants to know, for those who go to college through this program, what's the graduation rate like?
We don't really track that now. So we track people getting high school diplomas. I think we're at 1,500 high school diplomas, GEDs, but we don't track the colleges. That was kind of like my brainchild, and we haven't been tracking that. But usually the people that started end up graduating. I just can't give you an actual number.
So we have another question. What is the recidivism rate for those who graduate from drug court?
Oh, 22%. So anybody that comes into the judicial network, into the judicial system, like 201, it's a web. It's nasty. It's hard, easy to get in, hard to get out. So it's 80% recidivism. We knock it down to 22%. And tell you the truth, bragging rights, we're lower than the whole below the US. We're actually the lowest in the state of Tennessee, 22%. We're extremely low. We do a great job here.
That's awesome. So what's the process look like for those who do relapse after this program?
So, great question.
During the program.
So during the program or after?
During.
So we're very lenient in here. So we don't look at relapse as being an evil thing. We see them going back to old behaviors. So it might be community service, anything from making them do community service. Preferably what we do is more treatment. So it's like, hey, like, it sounds like you're needing help, so we need to give you more treatment. You might get to work with me one-on-one or one of the other peer recovery specialists one-on-one. So we try to do a lot more treatment. And also you might do a day in jail, or we'll send you back to rehab, put you back into detox. That's what we're doing right now, because COVID's kind of like changed our path. For people that complete drug court and they relapse, we put them into treatment for free. We send them back to treatment and anything. And I do it I love putting people back in treatment. I do it constantly. No harm, no foul, in other words.
So another question, how would you encourage somebody who maybe isn't able to be as active for the activities that you have listed?
So you would think certain people aren't active, that you're like, oh, they could never do this. So I had a guy that was 400 pounds and I said, Bryan, you don't need to do that with him. The activities are up to your ability. So if you can lift more, you can lift more. If you can do more, you can do more. So we have people that are, I'll tell you, I wish I would have put a picture on here. I have little old grannies, because grannies get high too. And that are like 70 years old and they're lifting weights with us. And it's 2-pound weights. And you're like, this is insane, but they do it. And so there's everybody, we meet everybody where their fitness level is, in other words. There's no reasons not to enter recovery. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a reason to put something off, and we don't find reasons to put things off.
Could you go a little bit more into the expungement process after this program?
So the expungement process, so you come in, and the whole reason to come in was to get your charges expunged. So the day you graduate, what happens is your charges are dismissed, and then 6 months later, if you're not arrested again, then your charges are completely expunged.
Thank you for elaborating on that. I have a couple people asking, do you have any volunteer opportunities through your program?
So we got this race coming up on Sunday. So come on out. I love it. I love volunteers. So come out this Sunday, come out at 9 a.m. and be like, hey, I saw you on Zoom. I saw that bald-headed guy with a mustache. Come on out. I look like Mr. Potato Head. So come on out and come volunteer with us. I'll introduce you to the team. I'll introduce you to Judge. So come on out and be part of it. I'd love to have you there.
So I'm reading some questions now.
Yeah.
So somebody said that they work with peers who are on MOT and now mental health court, but they want to know, what do you suggest for a CPRS who is not coping with substance abuse disorder and a female as a method to motivate male peers?
Could you say that one again? I was kind of...
Yeah, so let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. I think they're just asking, like, what do you suggest for them to do as a CPRS for somebody who might not be coping with substance abuse disorder?
I'm a big believer in doing all the things that we discussed on here. Whether going to school, like I say throw the kitchen sink at them. Motivate them to exercise, fitness, all of it. Because even though, like, I too live with mental health issues, not severe, but I use my medication as appropriate, and also I take care of myself through health and fitness, because that actually releases more neurochemicals as well. So that's just part of my regimen. And I would say anytime you can incorporate that, the better outcomes. That's the thing about people with depression. It's like they don't have any motivation to do anything, and so it's once you get them going, they become like a Mack truck though. It's hard to stop.
Gotcha. And we have one last question. This is actually from my director, Jack Wyatt. He wants to know, what is the secret to being such an amazing human being?
So shout outs to Jack. So what I want to say this is Jack is actually one of the people that I went to college with, and he's also a drug court graduate. Whenever I was a counselor, he was one of my people too. And I know he doesn't mind me saying this. And I love Jack. What's the secret to being an amazing human being? People like Jack that I see them come back and graduate and actually use him on a regular basis because he's so known in the community to inspire people and say like what he's done. And if you want to become like somebody, you got to do what they did. So
he says, thank you so much. Well, thank you again for taking the time to, thank you so much again for taking the time today to speak with us. We really appreciate you coming out here to speak on this issue.
Thank you. And thank you for having me. And y'all have a great day.
Thank you. You too. We'll see you on Sunday.
All right. Bye.